الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر
الله أكبر.
أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله
شنو لا إله.
أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله
لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله.
أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله
أشهد أن محمد رسول الله.
حي على الصلاة
لا حول ولا قوة إلا
حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح
لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله.
حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر
الله أكبر.
لا إله إلا الله
صلاة القائمة التي محمدا الوسيلة والفضيلة الذي وعدت إنك أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين ولا عدوان إلا على الظالمين، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له قيوم السماوات والأرضين، بعث نبيه محمد صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم رحمة للعالمين، وأشهد أن محمدا صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم عبد الله ورسوله، بلغ حقيقة رسالة ربه وأفضل الأمانة ونصح للأمة، وجاهد لله حق جهاده حتى أتاه اليقين. فسبحانك اللهم لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. أما بعد. All thanks and adorations be to the Almighty Allah, who in His infinite mercies has given us another opportunity to be here. We thank Him for His mercies that He's bestowed upon us. We bear witness that there is no deity worthy of worship except the Almighty Allah. We also bear witness that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is His servant and His messenger. Whosoever the Almighty Allah guides is really guided, and anybody who goes astray has nobody to blame but themselves. Today is a Friday, the first day of Jumad al-Ula, 1444 years after the hijrah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It also corresponds with the 25th day of November on the Julian Gregorian calendar 2022. The most common gift that the Almighty Allah has given to all of us, everybody on the surface of the earth, 8 billion people, the most common gift is time. The old and the young, the rich and the poor, the righteous and then the evil, each and every one of us has 24 hours in a day. Nobody has 25 hours and nobody has 23 hours. each and every one of us. And this is also a ni'mah from the Almighty Allah. The Almighty Allah says in Surah Al-Furqan, وَهُوَ الَّذِي جَعَلَ اللَّيْلَ وَالنَّهَارَ خِلْفَةً لِمَنْ أَرَادَ أَنْ يَذَّكَّرَ أَوْ أَرَادَ شُكُورًا. It is the Almighty Allah who has made the day and night as succession to each other, as an alternative to each other, so that those who want to show gratitude or those who want to think and reflect can have the opportunity to do that. If the Almighty Allah had willed, we will have sunlight throughout. If He has also willed, we will have had night throughout. But then the alternating of the day and the night is a sign from the Almighty Allah. It's a mercy from the Almighty Allah. It's a blessing from the Almighty Allah. And the latter part of the verse expresses this for us is an opportunity liman arada an yadhakkar, for the people who want to sit and reflect about the importance of time, and at the same time for the people who want to show gratitude for the time that the Almighty Allah has given us. Our usage of time is reflective upon how we live our lives. How well we use time determines the outcome of our lives in this dunya and then the results in the akhirah. How well we use our times depend on the kind of lifestyle we lead in on the surface of the earth. So you find out that some people use their time to get closer to the Almighty Allah, and some others use their time to get farther and farther away from the Almighty Allah. Time cannot be stopped. It has no respect for you. You can't stop an hour. You can't stop a day. But then you can control its usage. You can determine how to use the time for the benefit of the deen and then the dunya. It's important. The Almighty Allah, when He created us to come onto this surface of the earth to be vicegerents, to use the deen to dominate the surface of the earth. So it is not appropriate for a Muslim to just be only in the masjid 24 hours and then he leaves his dunya out there. There is the author of Umar ibn Khattab radiyallahu anhu. He came into the masjid one day and then he found a young man praying and prostrating and bowing down and doing dhikr. And Umar observed him for 3 straight days. He was in the masjid. And Umar ibn Khattab asked, who is this guy? And he said, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, this young man, his levels of iman are so high, they are punching through the roof. So he's here in the masjid all this while, he's just praying, he's just doing istighfar, he's just doing dhikr. And Umar ibn Khattab asked a question. Who feeds him? And they said, he has a brother in the market who brings him food from time to time. Umar ibn Khattab said, that brother of his is more beneficial to the community than him. So our usage of time is not only coming to the masjid. No, that is why the Almighty Allah, put a spaced out the 5 daily prayers for us. You remember the hadith of Isra wal Mi'raj where the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam went upstairs for salah. He was given 50. If we are going to perform those 50, it means every half hour you're going to do 1 salah. And that is going to be a deficit of 2. But the Almighty Allah in His own prayers and then space them out at specific times so that you will pick lessons from it. Fajr is early in the morning, you wake up, you go in and clock in with the Almighty Allah. It means you begin the day with the Almighty Allah. Fajr. And then after Fajr, you have the liberty to go out through the world and then go and look for a halal. use your time judiciously between Fajr and then Zuhr. Where it is Zuhr time, it means that the day has been split into two. Now come back to the Masjid and then re-sign with Almighty Allah again. Asr means the day is getting to a close, so go back to the Masjid again and then what? Re-sign with Almighty Allah. Maghrib means the day is over. Gharabat shams, the day is over. Come back in the Masjid again and then re-sign with Almighty Allah. Isha means you're going to bed. It's over. You're going to sleep. But then don't go like that. Come back to the Masjid and then re-sign with Almighty Allah. So you can't stop time. It has no respect for you. You can only control its usage. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud says, Wallahi ma nadimtu ala shay'in كندمي على يوم غربت فيه الشمس قل فيه من أجلي ولم يزد فيه من عملي. Ibn Mas'ud says, Wallahi, I have never regretted on anything more than my regret on a day that the sun will rise and settle. My lifespan has been reduced, but then my good deeds have not increased. Every morning, Al-Hasan al-Basri says, every morning, that day, this morning, Friday, spoke to all of us. It says, Ya Ibn Adam, ana khalqun jadid, wa ala amalika shaheed, faghtanimni, fa inni la a'udu ila yawm al-qiyamah. He said, oh son of Adam, you see this Friday, this 25th November, this Black Friday, it is a new creation. It is not the same as last week Friday, and it is not going to be the same as next week Friday. It is a whole different creation. And a khalqun jadid wa ala amalika shaheed. I'm also a witness on the deeds that you do. Faghtanimni, make sure you profit from me. Make sure you invest properly with me. Make sure you put in your effort with me. Why? فَإِنِّي لَا أَعُودُ إِلَى يَوْمِ الْقِيَامَةِ. If I leave when the sun sets today, today is over. It is a servant of the Almighty Allah. It folds the folder and then puts it aside and then goes back and then reports to the Almighty Allah. What report is today going to give about you with the Almighty Allah? Time is the capital with which you invest in this life. But it's a few of us who really reflect over this phenomenon of time, that time is the capital. It is your business. Time is your business in this dunya. Same way you invest in your businesses, you put in money, you save. Time is also your capital. If you lose on this capital, then you're losing in the dunya before you even go to the akhirah. Every morning is an opportunity for us to redefine our priorities. Every morning is an opportunity to redefine our purposes in life. Every day is an opportunity for us to look at ourselves and look back what we've done. The good deeds that we've done, we should be able to continue doing them. And then the bad deeds that we did yesterday, we clean them off and then don't repeat them today. Every morning, every new breath that we take is an opportunity for us to re-establish worthwhile goals. What are our goals in life? What do we want to achieve? I asked a couple of young boys that, where do you want to see yourself? Teenagers, 14, 15, 16. Where do you want to see yourself in the next 10 years? And almost all of them said they want to be sport athletes. Someone said b-ball, yo. Someone said football, man. Someone said, I want to open a business. And I asked them, what about the deen? It was not part of the calculations. That is the reality of the life we're living now. And that's the truth. Shaitan has done a very good job in tuning our minds to other things than the purpose for which we were created. So all of us are running helter-skelter. We're looking for the dunya. We're always on time for our appointments. for businesses. We are always on time for our appointment with the medical doctor. We are always on time for our appointment with other things in the dunya. But when it is appointment with the Almighty Allah, that is when we have excuses. What goals do we have? The things that we do, why are we doing them? The time we spend in the cafe, 2 hours, 3 hours, why do we do that? The time we spend watching soccer, 2 hours, 4 hours, 6 hours, why do we do that? The time we spend behind the television watching football, why do we do that? The time we have to sit with friends and then gossip and then talk about people behind their backs, why do we do that? The time we sit to discuss about the deen, to come to Imam Noor's Monday or Thursday class after Maghrib, why do we do that? These are questions we need to ask ourselves. But every blessed day, when the sun rises to the sun sets, the activities that we partake in, why do we do that? Why? It's a question, and I believe each and every one of us must answer, because the hadith of Abi Bazrat al-Aslami, where the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, "Lan tazula qadama abdin yawm al-qiyamah hatta yus'al an arba." None of us will move an inch on the day of Qiyamah till we are asked 4 questions. Nobody is going to move on the day of Qiyamah. Everybody, each and every one of us, will be questioned. 4 questions. And the first question, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, "An umrihi fima afna." The life that we came to live on the surface of the earth, how did we spend it? How did we spend it? Sometimes you hear Muslims, especially we modern day Muslims, millennials, we say we are free, independent people, we can do whatever we want to do. You see, that concept is un-Islamic. That idea, I'm a free, independent person, I can choose to do whatever I want to do. Islam doesn't know that. Even within the man-made laws, you can't choose to do whatever you want to do. If you want, after Jumu'ah, go through the red light and you see what is going to happen. After Jumu'ah, just go through the red light. Just drive, go through the red lights. The simplest thing that is going to happen to you is that you're going to get a ticket from the police officer. Or another truck is going to crash into you, and then by Maghrib, we've buried you. You've gone to the Akhirah. So young men and young women that you are listening to us, teenagers, you are not free to do whatever you want to do. You owe it a responsibility to the community to be a responsible member of the community. You owe us that much. You owe it to your parents to be responsible kids to your parents. You owe it to the community to be responsible members of the community. You owe it to the community to be active, positive members of the community. That is why you don't have the opportunity to use your time anyhow in Islam, because you'll be questioned on the day of Qiyamah. Every second that we spend in this dunya, the Almighty Allah is going to question us. Every minute, every hour, we're going to be questioned on the day of Qiyamah, whether we like it or not, whether we are prepared for it or not. That question is there. The exam room is waiting for us. The question is there. The answer sheet is there. No matter how much you memorize the answers here in the dunya, it's not going to work until you work towards that. That is why, sometimes I find it astonishing and amazing that a Muslim will pick the phone and then, do a video. Hey, hello, today is 25th November. I'm 25 years today. Allah has increased my life +1. Who told you it's +1? Who lied to you is +1? And then, we garnish it. I'm thanking Allah. If you complain, no, I'm thanking Allah. It is ibadah. I'm showing gratitude to Allah. because I'm +1 today. Wallahi, Shaitan is very smart. And Shaitan doesn't sleep. If the Almighty Allah has decreed that you will live for 70 years, and then today you are 40, how many more left? You have 30. If next year you are 41, how many more left? 29. Every morning you're getting closer to the grave, but you think it is +1. Every second you're getting closer to the grave, and the grave is calling. It's waiting for you. And la mafarra minhu, there is no escape from it. The reality of this dunya is that we have an exit point and then an exit time. And the scary part of it is that we don't know the exit point and we don't know the exit time. That is why it is important we make good use of the time that we have. That is why the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam told Abu Dharr, Ya Abu Dharr, jaddid as-safinata fa inna al-bahra amiq. Said Abu Dharr, he said, Ya Rasulullah, you see that your boat, repair it. Means repair your iman. Use your time to repair your iman. Plug the holes, the leakages that are in your iman. Use your time to plug those holes. فَإِنَّ الْبَحْرَ عَمِيقٌ, because the river or the stream or the sea we are going to cross is very deep. If your boat is weak, water is going to enter into your boat, is going to capsize, you're going to drown. The problem of the ummah today is that our levels of iman are weak. That is why we become so scattered across the world, we don't have one voice. You're so weak. During the time of Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anhu, the Roman emperor abducted a Muslim woman, and he wrote him a letter. He said, you will return her safely, or I send to you an army. The first person will be at your doorsteps, and the last person will be at my doorstep here in Medina. One woman. That was the izzah of the Muslims, and they understood it because they invested their time in building the ummah. But look at us today. What are we investing our times in? What are we investing our times in? Let's be honest with ourselves. Our kids at home, how much time do they spend on the Quran? And how much time do they spend on their phones and then their gadgets? I always use our madrasa here as an example. There are some kids here who come for the weekend class and then the evening class. If, for example, today you give him 5 verses to go and memorize, tomorrow he comes with 10 verses. Yes. If on a Sunday I give a student 10 verses to memorize, and I expect him next Saturday, that is tomorrow, for example, to come with 10 verses, some students come with 15 verses, they come with 20 verses. And I asked them, why? They said, my father or mother is always on my neck to read the Quran. And the opposite is true. We have some who are on 5 verses for a month. So what are we doing? It's always a collective effort. The teachers in the madrasa cannot do it alone. I always tell them, at the last parent-teacher meeting in the madrasa, I told the parents that the kids come here and they spend only 6 hours a week with us. 3 hours on Saturday and 3 hours on Sunday. That's 6 hours. The rest of the 147 hours that they are with you in the house as parents, what are you doing? I'm not blaming you, no. I'm not embarrassing you. I'm not calling you out. I'm not shaming you, no. It is just an opportunity to bring to the fore the challenges that we are facing as a community if we really want to invest in the next generation of Muslims that will be in the world, not only in Wasatiya. If we don't have that collaborative effort as teachers and parents, If we don't have that tandem, we don't have that agreement and that cohesion, it's not going to work. Because I can't give a student 5 verses to memorize a week, and then he comes next week, he's not memorized them, or he can't read them, and then we spend a month back and forth on that. It doesn't help the community to develop. So it means that we need to check ourselves as parents in the house. What do we do? What times do we have with the kids? Do we sit with them at least to have a meal? It's important. Time spent together is very important for any family. You know very well during the pandemic, the lockdown, when you were with the kids at home, you realize that you didn't even know your kids, true or false? That's true. Because the society or the community has its own programs and agenda for our kids. What programs and what agenda do you have for the kids yourself? It's important. Maybe you might be out there working hours on ending to bring halal into the family. But then, what programs have you put in place for the kids so that these kids at least will remember you and pray for you when you die? It all depends on deliberate, conscious effort and putting in place a plan for us to succeed. أقول ما تسمعون واستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين من كل ذنب فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين ولا عقبة للمتقين ولا عدوان إلا على الظالمين وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبد الله ورسوله. ما بعد. Imam al-Bukhari and Muslim have narrated a hadith from Abdullah ibn Abbas where the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, نعمتان مغبون فيهما كثير من الناس الصحة والفراغ. The Prophet said there are 2 blessings that the Almighty Allah has given us, but a lot of people are bankrupt from it. A lot of people are having challenges with it. A lot of people are at a loss. Instead of them gaining, profiting from these 2 mercies, they are always at a loss. And the Prophet Muhammad said, as-sihha, health, wal-farag, and time. These are 2 mercies, blessings from the Almighty Allah that we take for granted. Sihha, health. Wallahi, if it is after Juma, you can visit any intensive care units. That is where you realize how important health is. There are some people who cannot eat themselves, so the doctors have to push tubes through their noses to pass through their esophagus into their stomachs. And their meals have to be, crushed into a paste because their tummies cannot digest the food. There are some people who have their arms and then their legs hooked up. There are some people who cannot lie on their backs. Allah, the couple of days that I was sick in the hospital, subhanallah, in the same floor that we are, some people were only screaming out of pain. And I look at myself and I'm fine. But even though the doctors still say, you just stay here, we still want to continue, our checks and see to just monitor you. I was the only one in the floor, a patient that can move out and then walk around. If people come and visit me, I can see them off. Those days I spent there, wallahi, was a reawakening, was a re-establishing of what life really meant for me. And the scariest part for me was when we went for an MRI scan. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. She lie on the bed, lie down like this flat, and then the machine pushed my bed into the MRI scan, and it felt like I was in a grave. Because you can't lift your head. If you lift your head, you're going to hit the machine. A lot of us are walking around with all forms of ailments, but the Almighty Allah is still protecting us. If you're to go to the hospital today for a full body check, the doctors will hospitalize us. They say we are walking dead people. No. There are a lot of people who have billions, but they are in the hospital today because they cannot put one morsel of food in their mouth. There are a lot of people who have all the power and all the energy, but when they are there in the hospital, they can't move an inch. Ni'ma, siha. And then the last one, the Prophet Muhammad says, al-farag, leisure, time. What do we use our time for? Look at the Muslim Ummah. Where do we invest our times into? Look at our young people. What is their vision? What is their mission? What are they doing? Where do they want to see themselves in the next 10 years? I always say this. Any community that wants to develop must invest more in education than in entertainment. And this is what other communities are doing. They're pushing their kids to be doctors. They're pushing their kids to be engineers. They're pushing their kids to be lawyers. They're pushing their kids to be high-profile people in the community so that these people will enter the congresses and then the senates and then they will make the laws. And our kids want to be basketball players. They want to be football players. They want to be athletes. I'm not saying it is haram, but that is not what the Muslim community needs. We don't need that. Because those communities that are pushing their kids to study extra hard, to be the doctors and the engineers, they are the ones who are going to be at the forefront of decision making, and our kids who are the athletes will always be at the back and they'll be saying, yes, Amasa. That's a fact. Our kids will be at the back all the time. Because if Congress wants to hear something about medicine, about COVID, or about Ebola, or about malaria, do you think they call the b-ball player? What is he going to say? That is not his field. If Congress wants to put in place laws for the safety of the community, they call in the security aspects. They don't call the footballer. So I'm not saying it is haram for your kids to be athletes. No, I'm saying that at the stage that we are in, our communities do not need our kids to be sport athletes. We need our kids to be there at the table of discussion of important issues for the benefit of the ummah. That's where we need our kids. That is where you need to push the kids. That is why you need to put in the deliberate, conscious effort of fine-tuning the kids to understand that they need to take their time serious. If you leave them anyhow, Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat will do the tarbiyah for you. And this is what we are facing. And don't forget, كلكم راعي وكلكم مسؤول عن رعيته. All of us are shepherds, and the Almighty Allah will question us as to the flock that He gave us. يا أيها الذين آمنوا قوا أنفسكم وأهليكم نارا. O you who believe, protect yourself and your families from falling into the hellfire. وما خلقت الجن والإنس إلا ليعبدون ما أريد منهم من رزق وما أريد أن يطعمون إن الله هو الرزاق ذو القوة المتين. The Almighty Allah created us to come to the surface of the earth to worship Him, make good use of our time, and at the same time, isti'mal dunya. We make sure we dominate the earth, and then we till the earth for the benefit of humanity. That is why we are here as Muslims. That is our purpose, that we worship the Almighty Allah and then we become beneficial to the dunya. And this is the goal I believe each and every parent wants their kids to have. And even you, the parents. Some tips before we go. Try as much as possible to have a sitting at least once a day with your kids in the house, with the family. Try and have a sit down. It's important. You might not be a sheikh for you to discuss Arba'un and Nawawi with them, but at least as a parent, if you have time for the kids, you sit with them, it brings the family together. There is a form of bonding between you and the kids. They always listen to you. And number two, strategize your type of tarbiyah for the kids. You can spend only 1 or 2 hours with them, but then they spend hours on ending on the phone with your friends, watching all kinds of things on the internet, and that plays a direct effect in their tarbiyah. So if you don't strategize to recounter or counter attack whatever attacks that is coming from the internet, you have yourself to blame. Number three, wallahi, parents, be friends with your kids. When we were growing up, our fathers were tigers. They were lions. You only hear a clatter of the sound and you understand the message. Yes. Those of you kids who are here, you only hear and you understand what the message is. But the kids of today, you look at him and say, yeah, Daddy, why are you looking at me like that? So it means the times have changed. So definitely the strategies must also change. But ultimately, bring Allah first in your family, and inshallah, Allah will take you places. The days are moving, the weeks are passing, months are flowing, the years are coming by, generations are going to replace generations, time is going to pass by, but ultimately, you and I will stand in front of the Almighty Allah, and then we'll answer for whatever deed we use our time for. وَمَنْ يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ خَيْرًا يَرَى وَمَنْ يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ شَرًّا يَرَى ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليكم وإلى صلاتكم يرحمكم الله.
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله. استقيموا واعتدلوا سووا رحمكم الله. الله أكبر
الله أكبر.
الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. والضحى والليل إذا سجى ما ودعك ربك وما قلى وللآخرة خير لك من الأولى ولسوف يعطيك ربك فترضى ألم يجدك يتيما فآوى ووجدك ضالا فهدى ووجدك عائلا فأغنى فأما اليتيم فلا تقهر وأما السائل فلا تنهر وأما بنعمة ربك فحدث. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر.
الله أكبر.
الله أكبر. الله أكبر.
الله أكبر.
الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. والتين والزيتون وطور سينين وهذا البلد الأمين لقد خلقنا الإنسان في أحسن تقويم ثم رددناه أسفل سافلين إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات فلهم أجر غير ممنون فما يكذبك بعض بالدين أليس الله بأحكم الحاكمين. الله أكبر.
الله أكبر. سبحان ربي العظيم.
سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم.